Well, good morning. I'm Jeff Coleman.
And I'm Deborah Pinkerton. Welcome to Morning Light.
In just a minute, our Morning Light panel will go behind the headlines.
But first, here's a preview of what's coming up later in the show. Every day, every child needs to know that Jesus loves them. And that is exactly the mission of a global organization with local ties. Learn more about Child Evangelism Fellowship and hear about a woman who was impacted by this ministry.
And both of us have been impacted by the ministry of CEF. Well,
yes.
It is Thursday, October 24th. Election Day could be a nail-biter in Pennsylvania, and a portion of Pennsylvania's 73,000 jail and prison population could decide it. According to the Department of Corrections, not every inmate is eligible to cast a ballot and must meet a strict list of criteria. Still, it's expected that thousands of incarcerated persons will be eligible to participate on November 5th. But what about those with a felony? Do you lose your right to vote permanently? And once you've paid your debt to society, how should that impact your privileges as a citizen?
I guess I've never really thought about that, and I'm just curious, how do inmates really vote?
So no polling place, but it's by mail.
Learn something new every day.
For sure.
McDonald's isn't the only food chain in the news this week. Chick-fil-A, the famous faith and family-friendly food chain that's always closed on Sundays, is getting into the entertainment business, launching its new app, Play, with wholesome products, or I should say podcasts, ebooks, and animated shows designed to deepen an already massive fan engagement. So what can its 7-day-a-week competitors learn from the chain's commitment to family and faith? Is it time for more companies to voluntarily cap their work week?
This is a company that has always guarded its brand identity, and part of that is to have these wholesome engagements with children, which not every brand has done.
That is right.
Well, today is the birthday of the 40-hour week, the law signed by FDR in 1938 to cap work hours for manufacturing, mining, and some service industries. The bill was opposed as being anti-free market by some employers, but 86 years later, it's the American standard for working full-time. 58% of Americans still work on a job site, but demand more family-friendly, hybrid, or at-home options. So, with many of the social changes about the treatment of workers coming in the 19th and 20th centuries from Christian social reform movements, where should Christians be leading in work reform today? We'll take these questions to the Morning Light panel this morning, and we like to mix it up. This week we've been mixing it up with a few of our favorite people. Davis, one of our favorite people, Davis Younts, attorney, defense attorney. Megan Martin, glad to have you back. PA Chamber of Commerce, Chief Counsel, and famously the former parliamentarian of the Senate. And boy, do you have stories to tell. And we all hope you'll write that book one day. And John Wetzel.
Hi, Jeff.
Good to have you back.
Good morning.
Yeah. Well, listen, the prison vote is kind of a mystery to people because you don't think of prisoners voting. In fact, there's probably a stigma that would say, well, you lose your privileges to do everything, including voting. Tell me, what are the rules? What's the law here? Looks like about 3,100 or so people in incarcerated situations in Pennsylvania for state prisons will be able to vote. What does that mean?
Yeah, quick clarification. So in 2000, I believe, Commonwealth Court decision held that anyone who committed a felon, was convicted of a felon, who was not incarcerated could vote. And misdemeanants who are incarcerated can vote. So the 3,100 number you referred to is actually the number of misdemeanants in state prisons, or about just under 10% of the population. County jails, it's very different. They're mostly misdemeanants, so most of them have the ability to vote. Ironically, under the Corbett administration, which Megan and I both survived and enjoyed, we initiated getting incarcerated people IDs upon release with a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Transportation. And that, in Pennsylvania, registers them to vote. So actually that, which was more focused on removing a barrier, made Pennsylvania, and frankly under Tom Corbett's leadership, a kind of leader in making sure people coming out of state prison votes, and whether they should or not. One of the goals is to restore them to citizenship. Going to prison is that is the punishment, right. And we want people to get back and be good citizens, so they should have the rights to that. And in Pennsylvania, they do as soon as they get out.
What should be our view for people who have served their debt to society about restoring those rights of citizenship? Because this is really an area where we don't all agree. There are some people that kind of think you should be wearing a scarlet A for the rest of your life, or a tattoo somewhere that says you're a bad person. And then there's a whole political angle with people saying, hey, these people are probably leaning more one way or the other.
Right.
We don't want them voting and participating in the process. What's your thought, Dave?
Yeah, I think we have to take politics out of it and look at the biblical principle of restoration. The goal of our justice system should be, punishment, then rehabilitation and restoration. So we should look to doing that. Now, I would say, if someone's in prison, if someone's incarcerated, I don't think they should be voting. I don't care what the crime was. If they're so dangerous, they need to be locked up, and that needs to be a part of the rehabilitation. While they're there, I don't think they should vote. Just as a matter of policy, that's not the current law, but I would say that. But I do think there should absolutely be a path to restoration after the fact. But we have too many people incarcerated anyway. We go to prison as a default when we should have other options for punishment and restoration.
Megan, a thought?
Sure, Jeff. When I think of this question, it really makes me think of second chances. And it makes me thankful for how blessed we are that, our God is a God of second chances, our God as Christians. And all through the Bible, we see how God used very flawed people to further his purposes. And we see that in our own lives. I mean, who of us standing around this table or people watching your show today haven't needed a second chance or known somebody who was? And through the grace of God, they got that second chance, whether it was at life, love, happiness, restoring a relationship with an estranged family member, or you squandered your time and your money and your talent and your opportunities, and God gave you a second chance, and in so doing, he gave you opportunities that you never dreamed were possible. And so for me, it really comes back to that, the second chance component of redeeming yourself and having the ability to make a positive change and do something totally different.
We need to record what you just said. We'll just have it on replay every day, that we have to remind ourselves of who we are. We're people that have experienced a rescue in many cases. Chick-fil-A, always out ahead. This is the other quick service fast food chain in the news this week, coming out with this child parent friendly app. Your thoughts on the company making this move, but then this notion of being closed on Sunday, which for a lot of us who drive minivans, some days can be an inconvenience because after church, you just want to go to Chick-fil-A.
Absolutely, and Chick-fil-A was a family favorite in our house. I've got 3 kids, and my hubby, we all love Chick-fil-A. And I really admire the decision that the Cathy family made to lead their organization by their faith. And so they made a conscious decision to keep Sunday as a day that honors the Lord, and it's a day of rest. And I think for me, the beauty of that is that in America, you have the freedom as a business owner to make that kind of decision. And as you know, I am with the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, and we represent almost 10,000 businesses, from small to large and everything in between. And the bedrock of our republic is freedom. And so these business owners should have the freedom to make the kinds of decisions that they think are in the best interest of their business, of their clients, their customers, their workforce.
So don't bring back the blue laws, Davis?
Don't bring back the blue laws. No, I think that's an important point. I think freedom is there, but what we're also seeing is people are looking for something that matters. Even when it comes to how they eat and what they spend the money on, that matters. And there are a lot of stories about Chick-fil-A. They faced heat in California. Franchise owners lost money because they were being boycotted because of their stand on political issues, and the family donated personal money to those franchise owners to make up the difference in the profit they lost over that. So they have done, they're not perfect, no corporation is, but they have done a lot as a family and made a commitment to follow through. People respect that.
So I'm going to stay with this notion of work and how much we should work and when we should be closed and all that. FDR was one of these leaders in saying we need to put some boundaries around the work week, and one of the ideas, which was came into law in 1938, was this 40-hour week. The original proposal was 30 hours, and the French certainly have a different view, the Europeans do. But your sense of why we have to keep things in balance and whether or not this is still a good idea to have a 40-hour week, or should we just lift the gates and let people work as much as they want for as long as they want till they drop?
Admittedly, I know nothing about work-life balance. I'm just going to tell you.
You're getting better, I hear, though.
I'm trying to, but it's so brilliant to limit how much people can work. And I'm someone who just throws myself into work and do it as much as my eyes are open some weeks. And, it really becomes a form of what's important. At the same time doing all this work, you have kids who need you. You have a community, a church community. And so, no, I think it's cool that government at some point cared enough about our mental health and our overall well-being as human beings. And certainly to limit how many hours is normal to work is an important part of that.
The Pennsylvania industry and business in Pennsylvania have always been leaders in taking care of employees. The Westinghouses, you drive through places like Sharon or Apollo, Pennsylvania, or Catania, all these great factory towns. And next door you have a workout center, or you have housing that was built by factory owners. But the 40-hour week, though, comes out of the government side of it, not the private sector. Is there still a place for a 40-hour week, still place for limits on how much people, especially working manual labor jobs, should be working?
Sure. I think, again, it comes back to partially to freedom in terms of business owners and operators having the ability to make the decisions that they think are in the best interest of their operation and their workforce, and having the ability to make those, and the autonomy to make those kinds of decisions. And I think that the business community has demonstrated, if COVID has taught us this, to listen to the workforce, listen to the needs of others, look at the data.
Less hard,
yes, we have
more
these,
flexible.
We have these hybrid work arrangements now, and so I think that they are much more flexible. And unfortunately, there are just industries, I think, where you don't have as much flexibility. For example, you have a lot of deadlines in the construction industry, or if you are in the healthcare field, you have certain hours that you have to work to meet people's needs to take care of them best. So I think that there's no one-size-fits-all solution, and I think that the business community has demonstrated, that it is willing to be flexible and listen, and it has to do that in a realistic way.
Final word. Close us down about this notion of work and work-life balance and how we get this all right.
With the secretary, I think, I don't know the last time I worked a 40-hour work week. As a small business owner, that's just not part of it. But as a small business owner, I also have flexibility in the way I treat my employees and the way I handle that balance. So that's part of it. I think really the fact that we have to have the government intervene at all is a sad reflection of a fallen world. So in a perfect world, what we would see is the free market system bear this out and give us the right answer. So that's what I would encourage Christians to do when you're in business. If you're in a leadership opportunity, take care of your people, show the light of Christ in that, and then we can get the government out of the business of limiting what employers can do.
That's really interesting. And this notion of if people were behaving and acting with charity and generosity and kindness towards their employees, like many of these employers we talked about, the government wouldn't have a mandate to step in. So thank you all very much. I learned a lot, as always. Well, thanks to our panel for joining us today. Coming up next on Morning Light, making sure every child hears the gospel message and that they become a disciple in the church. We'll introduce you to Child Evangelism Fellowship. And good morning to Gouldsboro, named for Jay Gould, who built a tannery in the area before becoming famous as a financier. You're watching Morning Light on Lighthouse TV.
Child Evangelism Fellowship is a Bible-centered organization whose purpose is to share the gospel with boys and girls. Joining me is Lisa Kilgore, the director of CEF Lancaster, and Fabian Martinez, the assistant director. Thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
Why don't we first start off by talking about Child Evangelism Fellowship? What is it, Lisa?
Sure. Child Evangelism Fellowship is a group of believers who come together and share the gospel with children, and we seek to evangelize children and to disciple them in the Word of God, and then to establish them in a local Bible-believing church.
So recently you had a fundraising dinner and you were talking, the theme was Acorns to Oak Trees. Why don't you talk to me about that, Fabian?
Yeah, it was all about so that the acorns can turn into the oaks and we can become the righteousness of God. It was a fantastic time of getting together with the community in Lancaster County that supports CEF, and we were able to see God's planned hand of provision do an amazing job to bring his provision into the ministry, and also for another chance for us in 2025 to be used for the glory of God to continue to evangelize, disciple, and establish kids to a Bible-believing church.
That's right, establishing the acorns, planting the seeds in children, and as they grow, their strength in God continues and they grow into oak trees. Love the theme. Jeff and I were talking earlier, we were both part of the Good News Club, and we remember the song we were singing, B-I-B-L-E.
Yes.
Talk to us about that, Lisa, about the Good News Club.
Sure. So Good News Club is a safe, fun place for kids to come and hear the gospel. We work together with local churches to go out wherever children are and to share a Bible lesson with them that includes the gospel, and to share scripture, to share those songs that you enjoyed, and games, and just to make it a fun way for them to learn about God.
Now, besides this, Fabian, why don't you talk about the summer programs you have as well?
Yes, we are so excited about our summer programs. First and foremost, the summer programs are all ran by our Christian Youth in Action, our CYA summer missionaries. And they have the opportunity to be released into the ministry to run the entire summer ministry. It starts off first and foremost by our traditional VBS program that we can have in churches, in the community, and also in parks as well. And then we also have our 5-day clubs that can be from a personal setting in a backyard, or it can also be ran out of churches and as well in the community as well.
Love it. Talk to us the impact that you have had there in Lancaster.
Sure. So last year we reached over 1,000 children around Lancaster County, and just looking for the Acorns to Oaks, it's our 80th anniversary. Yes. I got to look back and see that over 97,000 children were reached over those 80 years that we've been in existence. And it's wonderful to hear people talk about, just like you said, remembering being a part of those clubs, and then to see the impact on children today and how lives are changed.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, CEF is a national, international organization. You are based in Lancaster, but tell us, how can people find out where their CEF is locally?
Sure. You can go onto the international website. It's cefonline.com, and you can scroll down to find a local chapter. And if there isn't a local chapter near you, then message them and tell them you'd like to see one start.
And what is the goal?
So our goal is to reach every child in Lancaster County with the gospel of Jesus Christ. So ultimately, we don't want a child to be missed anywhere, and we want them to have a relationship and to be able to interact with Bible resources throughout their lives.
Oh, certainly a wonderful mission, and I know it had an impact on my life, and I think an impact on Jeff's life as well. Thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you would like to get involved with the mission of Child Evangelism Fellowship, check out cefonline.com. And still to come on Morning Light, well, you just heard everything about the mission of Child Evangelism Fellowship. Now you will meet a young woman who was impacted by this ministry. She will share her story next. And good morning, Jim Thorpe. October is a great time to visit to see the fall foliage. You are watching Morning Light on Lighthouse TV. Child Evangelism Fellowship has gospel-rich programs for children during the summer. And joining us is one of the summer missionaries with CEF Lancaster, Isabella Higgins. And back with us is Lisa Kilgore. So Isabella, why don't you tell me, how did you get involved with CEF Lancaster?
I became involved with CEF Lancaster County when I was 12 years old. It was the year 2021, and my 3 older siblings had received an invitation to join their amazing summer missionary program. At the time, I was too young for that, so instead I went with their volunteer program.
And tell me about that volunteer program.
The volunteer program brings in younger people or older people to join, and we get to volunteer for a week we would like to within the summer. And we learn Bible lesson, mission, and verse, and we teach that to the children.
Why was it so important for you to do something? I know you said that your older siblings were invited, but why did you say, yeah, this is something I want to be involved with?
I said yes because I felt like the Lord was calling me to this, and I would still like to be a missionary and go to Ecuador and teach the people there.
Oh my goodness. How have you seen your faith grow through this program?
Through this program, I've grown in 2 different ways. One would be when I teach the children and I see them grow. I grow alongside them, which is beautiful. And secondly would be when I'm mentoring someone, which I get to mentor a newer summer missionary. I also grow in being able to encourage someone in the Word, and then also exercising, sharing my faith.
Lisa, when you hear her say this, what's going through your mind?
It's just a joy to see how these missionaries grow. Izzy was 12 when she came to us, and they don't normally teach a Bible lesson, but she insisted on teaching one. And now I see her as a leader, and I just think, wow, this is so amazing to see this next generation ready to teach, because I won't be here forever. So I want them to be equipped and to be able to do that.
And when you're talking with kids, what are they saying to you when you're telling them about Jesus?
Often when I talk with kids, I take them back for counseling, and when I do that, I get to share the Word with them, and then sometimes they have questions that I get to answer for them, and really I just hear them saying, I want to learn more. Who is this person you keep talking about? Because some haven't even heard of him, others have, and they just want to learn more.
And tell us, I know Jeff and I had shared one of our favorite songs, the B-I-B-L-E. What's your favorite song?
My favorite song would probably be Jesus is the Good News.
Oh, that is wonderful. And Lisa, what is the goal? What do you want to continue doing? Because you just celebrated 80 years with CEF Lancaster. What do you want to see happen?
Yeah, well, when you look back on a legacy like that of 80 years, we want to continue faithfully what was started. And so continuing to evangelize children, to have them have the hope of the good news, and then also to just disciple them and to see them grow. And we'd love to see more of them grow into summer missionaries and, just be established in God's Word and in His love.
Yeah, absolutely. And Isabella, for people watching, for parents, for grandparents who say, hey, this is a good idea, what is your message to encourage them to get involved with something like this?
I would say that they should definitely do it. It helped me grow in my faith so much, and it's really impactful as well with the children, and I love to help in that mission.
And I was going to say, Lisa, for parents and grandparents who know that there isn't something in their community, how easy is it to set up a program like this?
You just need to come to us and ask, and we will equip you, we will train you, and anyone can do it. I mean, Isabella was 12 when she started. I have 10-year-olds begging to teach, and they do a fabulous job, so we will help you. And I would say do it, and we'll make sure that we will pray for you, we will equip you, and we will help you to do it.
Yes, we all have a mission, and it's really important to pray about it and see if this is something that you should do. Mm-hmm. Thank you both for being here and making the difference in your community. And stay with us. We will be right back after the break. Welcome back, Sewickley Township. The name Sewickley is believed to have originated from Native American words for raccoon, and town, the land initially inhabited by Native Americans, was surveyed and sold to American Revolutionary War veterans post-war. And coming up tomorrow on Morning Light, hear how a college visit turned into sharing the gospel. A Pennsylvania family spent a few days in North Carolina making a much-needed difference. Plus, October is Pastor Appreciation Month. Learn how you can support your pastoral staff not only this month, but on a regular basis. And that's a look at what's coming up tomorrow on Morning Light. Now, Jeff, your closing thoughts.
Thank you, Deborah. We do appreciate our pastors. Well, if you've worked a 40-hour work week or still hard at it, there's a good chance there's a date circled on the calendar somewhere or an alarm set on your phone. You know the date, the hour, the minute when you'll be able to walk away. Retirement. In the meantime, know this, your work matters. It matters to the person you carpool with or connect with every day in the group chat. It matters to the IT person or the security guard at the front door. There's something incredible about the intricate way God designed our relationships for work, even the ones that only happen on the elevator in the parking garage. God placed us there for thousands of intricate reasons, most of them unseen and unknown to us. those people depend on us to give a word of encouragement, to notice they've been trying a little harder at their job, or even just to have someone to speak their name out loud. Imagine that. The American dream might say work is about what you make, what your retirement package is, where you work. God says something entirely different. All work should matter to us because all work matters to God. He notices everything we're doing. For Deborah and the entire Morning Light team, I'm Jeff Coleman. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check on your neighbors, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning.